So, hello,
Yes.
Professor McMahon. How are you? Fantastic. I'm glad to hear it. This is my final project for marriage and family. This is the first half of two-part podcast. The other one's going to be for gender roles. I hope it's okay that we kind of combine them into each other a little bit, but they'll still be their own separate things. I'm Noah Laird. This is for spring 2024 semester. I've been working with the Youth Advocate Program to, I'm a BHT. I work with kids in their schools directly to monitor their behavior and change their thought patterns so they behave in a different way, but still, I'm not like brain jacking them or anything, but so this here is Aiden in the blue shirt and Townley in the headset. We'll put it like that.
Hello.
Aiden, if you want to go ahead, talk a little bit about yourself, homie. Introduce yourself.
As I've been introduced, I'm Aiden Jordan. Nice to meet you. I don't know you, but it's nice to meet you. And I'm in a different continent entirely, but you know. I'm currently employed as a stock controller for a supermarket, but I'm training up to be an accountant. That's about it. About it for me, really.
All right, go on then, Townley.
My name is Luke Townley. I'm currently working at Bourbon Brothers as a service support, a busser, and a host. I've been a Christian ever since I was born, and I grew up in kind of a little above average class family, middle class family.
I don't know about a little above average. I mean, considering what we just saw connected to your bedroom, I'm not too
That was that was a stupid deal. This thing
Okay, well,
that was an absurd deal. I'm
okay.
That's like it was 1/4 the price it should have been.
Okay. Well, I mean, it is what it is.
Like I was convinced a
I know.
raccoon was in it or something.
That's oddly specific, but all right. So just to preface this and the next one really quick, as I am an actual healthcare worker right now, I have certain obligations to my clients that I can't share all the information that would be useful in this, but I will share what I can when I can to benefit our conversations here. And I think that brings me around to describing where I work at specifically. The Youth Advocate Program it's a nationwide effort to help people who have mental illness. Sometimes not at all mental illness. Sometimes we just help people. We'll just help people. We provide direct support to whoever needs it, and specifically we use CBT techniques, cognitive behavioral therapy, to help people live better lives than what they have now if they need it. I have long been a part of trying to make that area of my career work. I've wanted to be a therapist for as long as I can remember, through high school at least. And working this job has kind of made me more confident in that. So I think I'm in the right type of work, and I think they do good work. I've done my research on my company, and I think we're doing pretty good. I've worked with a lot of aspects of this sociology course within my work. It hasn't been as much as I would like it to, or how much I expected it to, but it's still enough to provide my information here. So I think the top three topics from this course that I have really worked with is the social process, which is patterns of behavior, interactions, or change among people in an organization or broader society. Cognitive and emotional perspective taking, the attempt or ability to infer the thinking and emotional responses of another person. And explicit bias, a conscious tendency and behavior to favor one group, person, or point of view over another, usually based on social characteristics such as gender, sexuality, race, or socioeconomic status. again, I think my career choice here has only been bolstered by what I do and what I face. So I'm going to share my screen here really quickly so I can provide a few screenshots of what I've been doing. Although I do live and work at kind of the most restrictive places, so I can't provide much. I can't provide, like, here's me doing my thing, because that would be probably illegal. But, well, almost assuredly. Uh, and I'd rather not get fired. So here's a few of just uh, a few of the things that I have been at. Here is if Discord will work with me. All right, Townley, can you see that properly?
Let me see. Watch stream. Okay, got it pulled up.
All right, perfect. This is the school district that I work at. It is Heinemann Charter School. It is probably, I think, the smallest county or the smallest school in the county, potentially in all of PA. My client's graduating class is only like 10 students. It is interesting down there. That is a K through 12 school, and it is one hallway. It was a bit frightening to see it at first, but now that I'm kind of incorporated within it, it makes a little bit more sense, and I think that structure has done a lot for my client as well as their classmates in the order of trying to get along with each other. Now, let's see if I can change window. Oh, I love Discord. So here is a few of my coworkers. On the left there is Billy Stickle. She recently left the company, unfortunately. Unfortunately for us, benefit for her because she got off and went on to better things. So I'm very happy for her. I'm not sure who that metal person is. I'm gonna be honest. I've never been introduced to her in my life. This is an opening picture of our Bedford office. Never met her in my life. I looked up through my organization chart. No idea. I didn't find her at all. She could be a ghost. And there on the right is Carrie. She is my BC. She is the person that you can contact. I think she's running what Billy did before, so you can contact Carrie to figure out what I'm doing specifically if you still need to. And she's very nice. She helped me through training, and she also did my interview. She's a fantastic lady. Changing windows. Next one. Here is, speaking of me being trained, here is where I've been trained. It's a very warm, calming room, just kind of nestled in the middle of everything. And it was really nice to sit in there for the 60 hours that I had to train. Honestly, it was interesting. It was very interesting to be there. And you just off that one alone, you can tell how comforting that office is for not only the clients but the employees. And here is. Oh no, it's not the final. Discord, don't fight me right now, man. May please work. Thank you. Pow. Here is. Did it just not do it? Is it on your guys's?
It's right now it's yep, training room photo.jpg.
Fantastic. All right, maybe Discord will fight me and we'll have a grandiose old time. There we go.
Yep.
So that's Billy and the woman that I've never met before. That's the opening to the office. That's where Billy sits behind the glass. It's the greenery in there is fantastic. It is so comforting to just walk in. It's really weird to find an office that's just like, or a workplace even that's so I was going to say, Townley, somebody walked in behind you. That distracted me for a sec.
Yeah, I don't know.
So comforting and so welcoming.
I shouldn't have to. It's no biggie.
I believe it was your mother. I don't think it was your sister.
It was.
Here is my final picture here. This is Carrie's office. This is where she helps clients and where I was interviewed. It just shows how she is built as a person. I think it's rather good to have somebody like her in this office, especially where she's positioned. She's right in the front. She is the most helpful person that I've had there so far. So I'm going to stop sharing my screen. I'm going to go back and we can chat about hold on. Did I jump the gun? Did I jump the gun? Let's see. Hold on. Yeah, okay. So, yeah, I did jump the gun a little bit. Uh, so we're gonna describe our social backgrounds real quick, just to get it through. Um, so I was kind of raised just in Bedford. I think a lot of people in Bedford had a much worse time than what I have. My parents and family have provided for me the entire time, and in Bedford, that's kind of rare. I was raised in a house where it was very open, honest, kind of just chill for the most part. Obviously, everybody has their moments, but for the most part, it's just been kind of chill. Um, my parents hold a very like left liberal political view, and I do as well. As very clearly defined by most of my discussion board posts, as you've seen, I am very, very active in a lot of things in that regard, and I think that is definitely in part to my parents bestowing that upon me, and I couldn't be greater because being in Bedford, that is a rarity to be even partially left. It is crazy how little political diversity there is in Bedford. Aiden, if you wanna go ahead and share your background there.
Yeah, no problem. I was raised near Newcastle upon Tyne in England. That's where I currently live at the minute. My parents' political views really, they don't really have any, to be honest. I mean, if they do, I don't really take much notice. I kind of try to stay away from it all. Obviously, I've got my opinions and stuff, but like it's kind of just not like defined. My childhood was okay growing up. I mean, I kind of kept to myself, be more reserved most of my life. Uh, Growing up around here wasn't exactly the best because a lot of people are quite intolerant at like a lot of things. And the community is usually quite divided between those sorts of things. You see a lot of people getting attacked for like their opinions around here. It's kind of close, further down the road, like, but it's kind of around this sort of area. It's just kind of been a bit iffy growing up. It's just kind of been here. I mean, there's nothing really been defined. Like, you couldn't say, "Oh, you're from here, you must be this." Like, it's kind of split around, and that sort of diversification's kind of made it so the community's a bit split. So we don't really live in a tight knit community around here.
Yeah, yeah, I get you. We're the same around Bedford. You said about people getting attacked for their political views. Uh, that's pretty common around here too. We had an event that I've talked about a few times where back in 2020 when Black Lives Matter protests were happening, they were taking a walk from I can't remember where, but they were walking to DC and they were coming through Bedford. And that didn't work out so well. We had a bunch of people standing outside of the courthouse with shotguns saying they're not going to take our town. And gotta say, not the play. Very much so not the play. Somebody did get harmed within that, and there was a whole court procedure that I have talked about endlessly on our discussion posts. But I agree with you there. It's pretty much the same over here. I imagine the modality of the attacks are quite different, but
Yeah, I mean, we don't really see many people with guns around here. There was a bloke with a crossbow, but that's
I
about
mean,
it.
you remember that?
Yeah,
Yeah,
there was a guy with a crossbow, but that's about as far as it's gone over here.
yeah. All right, Townley, go on then.
For me, I definitely my own personal political beliefs definitely align more right leaning, a lot more conservative. But I'm well, where my dad, I would say I mainly get it from him. My mom, but from my mom, I also get from her the not wanting to really engage in a whole lot of that because it's tiring. It's just I at the end of the day, I don't know. I don't want to. I have my beliefs and a story. I don't really want to pester anyone else with it, but um, I'd say it's definitely largely in part with also, like I said, I'm a Christian. I grew up in Gainesville, Georgia, definitely more right-leaning state. But in terms of political disagreements around these parts, weirdly, I mean, from what I've seen, it has been mostly neutral. I mean, there's definitely more right than there are left. But in my generation specifically, I'd say there's definitely, it seems to be either 50-50 or a lot less right. But never large things that came out of it. Probably maybe some hateful things. I would imagine something hateful went because it's maybe something LGBT occurred, but I mean, 9 times out of 10, it's just you hear something on the news about a redneck going crazy. But I mean, not even politically related. Just I mean,
Happens.
you know, I mean, hey, one ran me off the road, so I mean, yeah, just
So that's how driving be like over here on the East Coast, to be fair.
yeah. Even
You
yeah,
live close to Atlanta too, so I can only
yes.
imagine how that is,
Now
especially with all the
yeah.
stories you've told us about
Now
the
yeah,
fun of driving down there.
yeah. So with Atlanta, it's definitely I would consider that a 50-50. That is, I'd say that's the prime example of if you want to see everything that America has to offer. You got the southern, you got northern. It's the busiest, has the busiest airport, which means you get an influx of so many different cultures. Um, it is, and it's great. Honestly, it's great for that reason. I don't really. Atlanta's just that place. It's people think of New York and California as lands of opportunity, but I mean, if you want to see business, I mean, Cartoon Network and all that stuff. I mean, like especially acting, the film locations are all here. It's it's a different kind of city. Whenever I don't know, I like it. I like it.
I think we probably should have. I didn't mention religion whenever I was talking. I feel like maybe we should mention that even if it's just in passing. If we don't bring it up later, it's good to know that like I was raised kind of halfsies. My dad's side is very Christian. My mom's side is very we don't know. I don't know, and I identified as a Christian for a while until like early high school, and I started thinking like I don't know about that one.
Would you say
And
more?
now I'm just kind of
Would you say
hmm?
more agnostic?
Yeah, I'd say more agnostic. I can't prove one way or another, so why choose? Um, I think just for my brain, it makes logical sense for me specifically to think that way. I've just kind of had my brain wired that way. That's how I am. Uh, I can't really. My ability to believe in things that I can't physically hold or see is all sorts out of whack. So that was kind of difficult. But past that, I'm just kind of here. That's my bit on religion. Aiden, what's your dealio over there?
I think I was baptized as a kid, but I never really believed in it.
So were
I don't know.
you? Wait, were you like in a Catholic household? That's.
I don't have this conversation with my parents. They just
That's
believe in what
valid.
they want to believe in.
I was gonna say.
They just dunked you in the lake, and they're like, "Yep, that kid's got it."
I was gonna say if you were so young that.
Like I've never tried to like be like this is what you need to believe in because we do. Like it's never been anything like that. I've kind of just been able to grow up having my own opinion.
Mm-hmm.
So and I think my opinion is the same as yours. I can't prove it, but like that can't be proved to me because it's like it just doesn't. Like if there's not solid evidence, I won't believe in it, but I won't deny that it could be there. So I'm kind of in the same boat as you for that, Noah. I'm kind of in the same boat as you for that.
Yeah, I'm kind of glad. I don't think we've talked about that, me and you, before, even though we've known each other for forever.
And
yeah, I mean, it doesn't come up often enough.
And
usually we harass Townley a little bit, but that's about it.
Yeah, but and to reiterate, just in case your professor wants to know, I mean, because there's 15 million different kinds of Christians nowadays. I say I would refer to myself as non-denominational, as in I'm a Christian. End of story.
That's solid. I mean, no denomination is a kind of denomination, but we'll take it.
Yeah.
That's how it is.
Non-denominational.
Yeah. So, uh, I no, we'll bring that up in the second part. I don't think we need to bring up our sexualities, gender, and that background yet. We'll hold that off for a while. That's more next time. So I'm going to share my screen again and explain the core idea of this entire thing right here. I think it's the most important topic. Well, not necessarily topic, but concept that we have. Excuse the Word document being all sorts of screwy, but this is the best way I could do it without my computer exploding. So this is a diagram of what intersectionality is as a topic. As you can see around the area is all sorts of the hate. Inside is all sorts of identification. Intersectionality is a sociological framework that examines how multiple identities and systems of power intersect to create unique combinations of discrimination and privilege. And I think we have all described something that deals with this already within the past 5 minutes. It is the hate and how we've figured out religion and how we identify as people and how we've been raised. It all comes together for certain people to make decisions that aren't us on how we are. And I think that is probably the most important topic within at least this course and the next course that we're going to be covering.
I'd definitely say it's definitely a thing. You look back at any history, it is always, well, this person thinks that. He doesn't think the same way as me. He doesn't look the same as me. Huh?
Oh, yeah, it's a lot of intersectionality elaborates onto why people out others as others. It's kind of just you weren't raised the same way I am. You look or seem or feel or experience different than what I do, and I don't like that very much because that tingles my brain in a bad way. So I'm gonna commit something heinous to prove to you that I am better. And that, I think... Whew! I have a laundry list of things I could say to that. But, just for now, before we get into a part 2, which I will have much more to speak about, I get it. I understand why people do it. I couldn't understand why people go as far as they do, like we have seen in our own personal lives of I'm going to stand outside this courthouse because these people differ in opinion to me. They're fighting for their rights. Why should they be able to do that? They can't come into my town. I'm going to go in front of the courthouse and hold a shotgun for 12 hours. That decision making is crazy to me, which is, because of the fact that I differ so much from those people. So I think intersectionality really explains a lot of what interactions are. And I think that is what I most core identify with in the theories that we've been provided through Pierce.
It's just the extreme that people go to regarding it. You can kind of understand it on a level, but then the extreme that the extremities they'll go to for their point, you can't validate it. You can't back it.
Just crazy.
I'll always think of it's always just so I hate, one thing I don't like to get into politics with is I don't like being instantly associated with one side, because you had the where were you, what was it, January 6th or 7th? Where were you?
January 2nd.
Yeah,
no, January 6th. You're right.
Where were you January 6th? It's just and all them those people are idiots. And I hate it. And then there's with the BLM stuff, definitely there was some just normal protests that were just protests, and end of story. And then I turn on the news and then see something else that steals the spotlight from the good people with these idiots that are just going into Best Buys and stealing as much as they can. And I'm I don't think that was what the cause was, but yeah, go King. Yeah.
King.
Yeah, sure.
I mean, I remember the story of the Target that got not only looted but burned to the ground. And like seeing that and then having people say like this is the reason why BLM is awful and Black Lives Matter, but all lives matter most of all. And it's like, I don't know if you quite understand the majority of people are fighting for a human right, and you are fighting against that, thinking it's that they're fighting for looting and doing all this crazy whatever else.
Yeah, it's just a weird. I remember that whole thing. I'm like, I just want this to kind of blow. I want this to go away, only because I want BLM to be a statement and be something that you. Yeah, I support this statement. Black Lives Matter. You know, yeah, everyone matters. But like at the same time, like I don't. As soon as this, I almost want it to go away so you don't have these idiots that are like sneaking behind, being like, okay, I have this thing I'm following, so I can use it as an excuse to do whatever I want. Like I'm gonna do whatever I want. But
Well, there's always going to be somebody that does that. Out of everything, there's always going to be somebody. Aiden, what was that time period like over there? Because I don't know if we ever talked, because that
oh
was
yeah,
whenever we had first met. I don't think we
Yeah.
ever chatted a whole lot about what went on over there.
A lot of that was just you mostly saw it on the news. You never really saw anything really in person or out like that. It was a lot of news stations, different ones that you went to. You could tell that they had their own beliefs and stuff because you saw some news stations going like, "Oh, look at how good the BLM movement is. Look at these guys doing a nice peaceful protest." And then you have other ones which are focusing on like the dickheads that are
Mhm.
like, "This is why BLM isn't good. Should Black Lives Matter if it does all this?" And then it's like people looting shops and it's like, why? Like it's you can see where people stand on like by their news broadcast.
Yeah.
So most of what I saw from it just came from the news, and it was just complete bias on both sides.
hmm
But
I
like
think
in person, you never really got that discussion. Things like that don't get discussed that much around here. It all
I
just kind
mean,
of like happens.
yeah, the one conversation I did have during that didn't really go so well, so I can't say that we really had a discussion going on over here, person to person.
Yeah.
It's more than just like echo chamber. I'm thinking this way. I'm going to talk to people that are also thinking this way.
hmm
But I also think the political system over here is so radicalized
oh,
that talking to somebody else is really difficult because
don't even.
finding somebody who is accepting of everything is.
Oh, that's the one thing that I hate the most. I mean, I kind of have an example like two-party system, awful because of the generalization it can come from. Because okay, if I tell you right now, my grandfather, he's a he's a he was. I actually don't think he does likes Trump really anymore, but he was a Trump supporter. Now, when I say that, what are like the first like things? There's a lot of things that pop in your head. Now, what if I told
Racist.
you he went and supported, he like went to be with a BLM protest? Now, what if I told you that?
It's
Yeah,
two conflicting signals
it's
just
like
because like
oh
we've been
yeah,
so indoctrinated into this system of like you
yeah.
have to be this or that.
And it was funny because when they started in that protest when they started bashing Trump, he just kind of was like he was like yeah.
Well, I mean,
Yeah, I mean,
I
they have their. Yeah, I get it. They definitely have their. I'm not a big fan of Trump.
I feel like if he would have shared his opinion, he might not have stayed in office for very much longer. Whether that be by impeachment or otherwise, he probably, if he would have shared his opinion openly in a matter that wouldn't have just been like tabloids being like, "Oh, guys, he said this." I feel like it would have been probably over for him a lot sooner, which personally I think would be better
Honestly,
for everybody.
I don't think he ever stopped. I think his problem was that he wouldn't stop sharing stuff. He wouldn't stop.
Yeah,
He wouldn't shut up. I mean,
I agree. He's still got that problem, but
like
we
yeah, like well, you have two completely different things. You have Joe Biden who is, and then you have Donald Trump that's yap
like
yap 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 yap.
it's yeah, it's like a turtle and a rabbit, except the rabbit's
No one wins
done
the
some
race.
sort of horrible drugs in the '80s, and now he's trying to run for political office, and the other one's just like sat there snoozing. And frankly, I'd rather have neither, but I'd rather have inaction than horrible malicious action. That's where I'm at. So,
Yeah. I just honestly, Trump is bouncing off all the walls, so I don't even know like where he stands on most things. So I'm like, okay, I'm okay.
generally, it's not very nice. But then again, I'm coming from this side, you're coming from the other side, and
I'm right now. I'm just like, I don't know.
I don't know. It's probably better not to know. It's not fun.
I just sit in my room and play Apex like a good American citizen.
We sit, I play music, we all play Apex, we do our thing, which I think I'm going to jumble these around a little bit because of how the conversation is progressing. I want to share. How can I get this on the screen without the rest of the script showing like improperly? I'm going to share my screen again. Just take a look. Can you guys see that properly? Can you see that statistic?
Let me get it pulled up. Majority of teens visit YouTube, TikTok, data. Yep.
So, people, Pew Research is a very reliable source of just statistical information. What they have conducted here is a survey on teens' data usage and how they use the internet daily. So here's the issue, right? Out of the percentage, 71% of people use YouTube per day, and 16% of those people use it constantly. And I think we have very special interest in this topic, considering the amount of time over the past decade we have put into, like, Overwatch and Apex and other games that we have played together that all kind of brought us to this point that we could be having this conversation right now. I think I'm in no place to talk. I have like 2,000 hours in Overwatch. But I think the crisis right now of kids being raised with an iPad in their face and just kind of being open to this endless stream of content, that's probably not good. We don't have any statistical data saying it's not good, but I can tell you 16% of people constantly using TikTok or YouTube, probably bad. Probably really bad, especially in TikTok's case, considering it is short form. Very like dopamine.
Yeah. I mean, for me, it's
that's the thing as well. By the way, have you seen how TikTok has a less daily percentage, but it's got a higher percentage in the almost constantly department.
Yeah, that's
more people are like reliant on that short-term dopamine. Like from watching a long-form YouTube video, you'd get entertainment for like 20 minutes, but from a TikTok, you get it short, like you said before. So they're relying more on that. They're saying almost constantly like they're on it all the time. They're relying on that way too much.
Speaking of which, how do people use Snapchat constantly? That is something that I don't even know how to use constantly. Like, I use it to text my girlfriend, and that is it.
To be fair, I use it. That's like my main form of communication from like most of my friends.
I'm in the same boat as no. I just don't really use it. Yeah, I mean, with this, I definitely I mainly work in the restaurant industry, and the amount of times that I just see, because it's one thing to put an iPad in front of your baby, it's another thing to put them on YouTube, and then it's another thing to not pay attention to what they are watching because of content farms. Just the fact that you can easily there's some parents are so lazy not to just click the YouTube Kids app instead they just use the normal YouTube app, which, oh my goodness, you can find pornography in 2 seconds by doing that.
It's a cesspool for people who don't know how to use like search engines properly. You'll search up like one random keyword like Spider-Man, and you'll just get like Spider-Man Elsa Frozen fan fiction, and it's like
you got a kid who's a Disney fan. They love Frozen and they love this Tom Holland Spider-Man movies. Oh, I'm gonna type in both of them because I'm a dumb baby. Let's see what happens. And, pregnant Elsa.
It's such a slippery slope that you just type in one keyword and it's basically done. Because then once you watch that video, the algorithm suggests you more of the same creator or different creators doing the same content over and over and over again. And those rabbit holes can lead you from like, here's a Spider-Man movie review. Here's an Afghanistan head decapitation. It's such a pipeline that like if you just I leave my YouTube running because I like sound when I go to sleep. I don't pay attention to it. It just kind of runs, and I'll put like gameplay of something up. There's two guys that talk, and then by the time I wake up, I'm like, am I watching car crash compilations? Did I just watch a family of 4 get into a fatal crash with a semi-truck? Is that what I just saw at 7 o'clock in the morning?
I mean, yeah, the thing is, I thankfully don't, thankfully it never recommends just deplorable things to me, but it mainly because I don't leave it open like you do. I bet that has something to play with it, but
yeah,
just the fact that like seriously, yeah, you can just type a couple things and there will be, oh my goodness, it is just it can be something.
The fact that this isn't just like a newer generation thing. I work with a high school kid, and I heard his class excuse me. I heard their classmates referencing stuff that like supposedly in the memes these toddlers are watching, and it's just like I'll walk down the hall and all of a sudden this kid will run by screaming "skibbity toilet," and it's like I don't remember doing something to that extreme whenever I was younger. I did some cringy things. You did some cringy things. We all did cringy things. I don't know if I was in high school screaming "skibbity toilet" running down the hall. I don't know if I was that far gone.
Like when I was a kid, it was like the most cringy thing that was definitely like could somewhat get close to that was probably like MLG compilation meme, whatever. Like that's probably the first thing that comes to mind. But now you have like just brain rot, skibbity toilet, Garten of Ban, Poppy Playtime, Five Nights at Freddy's, like
skibbity toilet, Riz,
like it is
compilation. I don't know.
And it's just it is a weird rabbit hole because I don't know. It's just no. I don't want none of it.
No. Bad touch, internet. And I think another issue is these kids, whenever they do get their technology taken away, they just fly off the rails. And I have seen it so often. I had previously worked in a daycare, and the kid that I was working with was described to me as an iPad kid. Like, he would sit at home on an iPad day in, day out, except for when he was in daycare. And he just, like, there's other stuff going on with him, obviously, but just that alone, him not being able to get technology, sent him into a spiral immediately. Like, anytime the TV wasn't running, or he didn't have something in his hand to work with, he would just sit there and throw things and say, well, he wouldn't say things, but he would scream, and it's that opposition is a little scary to me, just considering, like, whenever I was being raised, and obviously we're all still developing mentally, it's not like we've stopped, but there was definitely times where I did not enjoy my parents' company. There was definitely times where things got rocky, but it was never to the point of like, oh, you've taken this away, I'm going to become physical and harm you actively because that is a choice I'm making. But these kids, like, whenever I was working there, I got punched square in the gonads by this kid just because I was like, we can't do TV time anymore, dude. I'm sorry, we can't do that. I worked one day in that daycare and decided I
don't blame
can't
you.
do it.
Because, like, man, I think about when I was like a pre-K, and like
We're that far back, to be fair.
No, I weirdly remember it very well, and it was very, very basic. It was basically just, I mean, I can't think of any TVs, any screens. Just, we had like a little bit of lunch, or like I just remember nap time. Basic stuff. And then nowadays, like I have, I mean, it's a little bit of a juxtaposition, but in elementary schools, the special ed classrooms, I even remember those too. It was just special ed classrooms. But nowadays, it is full on just kids on their iPads, and you take away their iPad, they will explode. They do not. They've been raised so poorly, they don't know how to function without it.
I work in those classrooms. I know what you're
Yeah.
seeing, and I can confirm it. Aiden, how's that holding up on your end? You haven't talked in a bit.
Um, I mean, I haven't really seen a lot. If you ever, I don't really ever take public transport anymore, but you sometimes see it in the shop that I work at. You'll see parents just walking around doing their shopping, and the kid will just be glued to an iPad, like they won't look away. Like they won't even, they probably don't even know where they are. Like they'll just be put there, and they'll just be watching it.
And to be
But
fair,
I
why
don't know
should they care
whether
where
like
they
the
are?
state of classrooms or anything like that. Like by the time I'd left secondary school and that, there was none of that sort of stuff going around.
No, I think the majority of our technology use is stuff like this, where we're communicating with each other more than just sitting there brain rotting. Because
Yeah.
I do remember, like, middle school and early high school, I would sit and I would play games like all day, every day, because there wasn't much else for me to do that I really
Mm.
enjoyed. And what happened? Okay,
It's
my
just
bad.
console gaming seems a bit better than people that just brain rot on iPads and that because like at least you're communicating. Like if
Yeah,
you'll be communicating and you'll be getting probably long form like entertainment from games and stuff. Like you saw
you're
the
still
statistics
developing
like TikTok and
skills.
that. That's you're not getting that long form entertainment and you're not getting to communicate. Like we met basically over this.
Hmm.
Like you don't get that sort of communication, but just watching like fucking skibbity toilet and that.
Yeah.
I was
Even
gonna say, you
yeah.
don't go on YouTube Shorts and scroll and be like, "Oh, here's two best friends out of nowhere." Because like we sat Townley, say what you're gonna say, because I'm gonna
Yeah, I
kind of
just
derail this a little bit.
I honestly it left my mind. Just go on.
Okay, well, I
I don't
have
know what it
statistics
was.
here really quickly to show, and then I'm gonna move on to my next thing.
Okay.
So statistics even kind of sort of see that entrance there, as you can see. Like their position with their parents is kind of degrading, and whether that's due to the political radicalization that we've talked about, or if it's due to this new technology bias or something, regardless, it's going down. Parent child relationships are coming to like a poorer place, and although it's only like a small, I shouldn't say small, 77 to 60 is pretty bad. That's 17%, 18% if we're fully counting it, but it's such a difference than I think what we remember.
Mm.
Because I know a bunch of my friends don't have very good deals with their parents, and that's okay. But like this statistic is not just, oh, these teens are getting angsty and they're feeling hormonal and they're trying to say stuff that their parents are doing that they're not really doing. They're just doing it because they're teens. This is much more like something is creating dissonance between generations, and I think it's probably that technology use is. I mean, even my mother, you can confirm now that you're out there. You watch TikToks now, but that's okay because you do it in moderation. Kids
Mm.
I've seen just sit there for hours and it's just doom scrolling. Hers is more for research purposes, and I just every time I go on TikTok, I'm automatically like, I don't think I should be here. This seems like no man's land of the internet.
Because you'll sometimes just find yourself mindlessly just getting drawn to it. Like you'll be like, just like,
Mhm.
oh, I've got nothing to do, and you'll subconsciously boot it up.
Hmm.
Like I don't know what part of my brain says boot it up, but you'll just be sitting there, you'll finish something, you'll be like, and then you just open it on your phone
Mhm.
out of
I,
nowhere.
I I've noticed a lot that I do it with Instagram. I'll peek through because I follow certain daily accounts and I always want to see like, oh, that cat's saying meow again or he's making a car noise. I find it
Yeah,
silly, and then I hop onto the reels and I'm like, there, and I scroll through, and then I look at what I've liked and saved, and it's like 60 videos. I'm like, oh
yeah,
my
you'll
god,
look
what
up
have I
at the time
done?
and notice you've been there for
Jesus.
about an hour.
Yeah.
I've definitely lost an hour of sleep to doing that. Like there was a night where I was just the set just
Mhm.
over and
Just
over,
scrolling through.
and I kept on, just, and it was, yeah, it got bad, but yeah.
Yeah, it's just not. It's not really applicable at this point to how that works out. We probably should have touched on this earlier, but
Also,
I do have.
I do want to make sure real quick. Are we gonna stop the recording at part one?
Yes, we're going to stop the recording in part one, and then we're going to start part two. And I'm going to do a little bit less of an intro because we've kind of provided
Okay.
this, and I'm submitting them at the same time. So it's kind of going to be one continuous thing, but they'll be uploaded literally like 5 minutes apart from each other. I'll submit them 5 parts from each other. I'll give McMahon update about how that's going to work out and how they're combined a little bit. I already prefaced that earlier, but we will stop and then we will start, and it'll probably be like 20-30 minutes for the second part. We're running on like 45 here, I think.
Okay. So far the recording is at 45.
Okay.
And how much more time will this one take?
Uh, we're coming to the end here.
Okay.
We're really close. I just need to present. Yeah. Well, I mean, segue. Really crunchy segue. Take a look at this statistic. I was going to cover it earlier, and then we kind of just got a little sidetracked, which is okay. I mean, I'd rather have us have natural discussion than me being like, look at these stats. Let's talk about them. Let's move on. But as for the dissonance between people and what their ideologies are, look at the difference between up here, a husband and wife raising children together. 90% think that's completely acceptable. 4% say it's somewhat acceptable, and then another 6 say it's not at all, or they don't say anything. It depends. I can't exactly remember this exact specifics of this study, but down here, gay or lesbian couple being or raising children together without being married, 41% of total people think that's completely acceptable, and then the wide majority think it's either questionable or just outright wrong. And I think, again, calling back from earlier, the dissonance between people's ideologies here really causes an issue, because I don't think there should be any issue with any of these at all. Like, especially the drop from 90 to 73 on the husband and wife who choose not to have children. I've seen a lot of discourse online of people being married and then being pestered to have children, and it's really weird to be like, come on,
Make
sex each other,
babies.
have a baby. It's really weird to bring that on. I don't think that's appropriate.
Yeah, I'll definitely say two things. So, when it comes to like gay or lesbian couples, I'd say that's more of a unfortunate case with just some statistics, but say you just have someone who is gay, and these are two people who are the exact same. The only difference is that they are gay. I see no reason that they shouldn't be raising a child. What I do find weird is definitely the case of the big drop off of like, oh, you're not having kids, you're not increasing the population, because
You're not allowed to do that. You're married. Your entire purpose of being married is now that you can do that. You can have the sex.
It's like,
and I don't.
yeah, it's one of those cases where people kind of forget. Like, I'm very much a freedom person, and then they're like, people are like, yeah, freedom, and then it's just like and then they're like, so yeah, I'm not gonna have kids, and they're like, wait, that
What do you mean?
wait, hold on, wait, what? But you were, wait, huh?
But you're
No.
married.
But come on, but freedom, yeah, freedom. Oh, yeah. But
You know, 2 seconds ago, whenever you were screaming about people not doing gun bans because you think it's not cool to have not the opportunity to go out and buy an automatic weapon, I don't want to have I don't want to have kids. Where'd that liberty go now, nerd?
it's just it's the beauty of it's it's kind of like the beauty of freedom. It's just is yeah, you are not gonna get everything that you want, and
Mhm.
that is intended, and that's the only way freedom can persist. Is that you're not gonna like everything you're seeing, because that is freedom.
I think. Oh, I was gonna say something, and a breeze blew through and threw out the information from my brain. I was gonna say something. Oh, what was I gonna say? Oh no,
Truth of thoughts.
this is a tragedy. Um, what was I gonna
Marriage,
say?
kids, queer, LGBT. Come
Um,
on.
yeah, yeah. It's just like I think just having sex, even like okay, so outside of being married, sex is already vilified by a lot of religions and a lot of ideologies. And I know Christianity is kind of one of those, depending on the denomination you fall under, certain ones, especially Catholics, forbid any kind of sex until marriage. And then they go a step farther to say you can't have sex for pleasure at all. You should just do it to make children. And I feel like in the
Yeah,
society we live in
that's
now, that might not be how you want to take it.
no. Yeah,
It's just like,
from my experience, I feel like I could say a good bit on this. So Catholics, I do believe it is a case of like, oh yeah, marriage only. But as far as I'm aware, I mean, at the end of the day, marriage is just a piece of paper. I believe that
mm,
it's with someone you truly love. Like, as in, you could easily get a divorce in a story. So that what was what was that lovemaking? Then I mean, it's as long as it is someone with you're not just doing it for pleasure. It is with someone that you truly love. It is there's sex and then there's lovemaking. That's how I see it. So
I
it's
get you.
marriage is just for us. It's like I practice abstinence just because I feel that it is a good thing to practice. Just because there's a lot of other things that could accidentally happen.
It's the
Yeah,
ultimate safety.
just like yeah, it's the best protection. It's the best protection is to just not do it until marriage. But but it's yeah, at the end of the day, that's just something I practice, and I feel is a good thing to practice, but it's not required for my religion. I guess that's the best way to put it.
You look like you have something grinding in your head there. What's up on your end?
Oh, nothing. I was just
It's
laughing at
We
everything
haven't
that you
talked in a bit. I'm
said.
calling you out again.
quite.
No, it's just something that you said. I just thought it was funny, but I completely disagree with it. I just think it's fun. Like
Fair
if you're
enough.
in, you're on the earth, right? You may as well enjoy your life. But I don't follow a religion, so I've got nothing that would like
Mhm.
prevent me from doing that. Like if you want to, power to you. You can enjoy your life because it feels like it because we live in the like sort of society we live in. It's more so around hookup culture at the minute, which
Mhm.
it kind of relates to what we are talking about earlier. People are starting to rely on short-term boosts of dopamine. Like they'll go with like hookups and it'll be like a quick thing. Like you'll be there, have fun, and then it'll move on. I feel like we're living in a world where things happen too quickly, and we just like and we're reliant on having that little bit of enjoyment. If that makes any sense, though,
Now I see where you're coming from. You're like we are getting to a point where I would not be surprised if marriage becomes the odd thing. That give it a good maybe 50, 100
Well,
years, and then marriage will be seen as something weird and not maybe not weird, but not common. I wouldn't.
I don't know. I don't know about not common. I think it'll still be common. I think the practice will be less religious.
and
I
also
think the
probably it'll
religiosity
probably be less
aspect of it will be
followed as
removed.
well. 'Cause a lot of people nowadays that you speak to, like you'll be talking to someone, they'll be like, "Yeah, I don't think I would want to get married. Like, not even a religious thing. I just wouldn't want to be bound to someone that would be like, it's like, what? Okay,
Yeah, I don't.
like,
But like I said, I mean, it's at the end of the day, it is just a. I mean, overall, it is. It's supposed to. I mean, like in my religion, it'd be more of a case of, a symbol, but that's all it is a symbol. It's a
I
symbol of like my significant other's love, just our love, and I mean, then there's other things. There's definitely a lot of other aspects of it. I mean, I mean, look at me over here. I've had one girlfriend. I'm not gonna pretend like I know everything. So
I mean, I've had six, I think. One, two, three, four, five. Well, no, it's been five, but one occurred twice.
But he's
And
really flexing.
well, no, I'm not flexing. I'm
I
just
don't know.
trying to say, like,
I
I
don't
don't
know.
want to. I was gonna say I'm trying to flex. Don't even open your mouth, dude. I want to.
yeah, I don't
You
know if
start.
you can. I
You
don't know
start
if you want to
saying stuff
share with the
that you're like,
classroom.
you might get in hot
Aiden.
water. But
Uh,
I've been in these relationships, and a lot of them, some of them were very much like marriage is a symbol and it's holy, but some of them have just been like, I don't care. Why would I want to do that? That means I can't like stop being with you unless I do horrible things to you legally. And it's
yeah.
I get that. I get the whole like I don't want to have to pay this or that. I don't have to pay for a divorce lawyer. That would suck. And I think especially with some things my friends have done, I think probably we should rework that system a little bit.
Mhm.
Um but
I mean, in my opinion, I would say. I mean,
um
in my opinion, I think that it's not a case of needing to rework a system. I do think that there's two things that happen. One, a lot of people don't want to get married that much anymore, but then two, people get married way too fast nowadays.
I can attest to that. I can
It's
attest
a
to that.
weird double-edged sword because back in the day it was like, oh, you just kind of have to, and I mean, okay,
Well,
um,
also, a lot of people we're opening up the idea of like obviously gay marriage has been legalized in the US federally since 2008, 2012. It might have been it's somewhere within that 4-year gap. And still we have people that are either on one side and say marriage is probably bad overall, and there's people that are saying only this type of marriage can be possible. Otherwise, it's not real, and it's I just I think we should probably rework the definition of what a marriage is. Not necessarily, well, probably legally too. I think we should probably rework a lot of the things that we have right now. But I think ultimately, divorce rates going up, marriage rates coming down. I think we need to change something up. I think we need to break
Mhm.
off the idea that this marriage has to be something that's religious or legally binding you to another person in every aspect. I think it's more just like it should probably just be more of a personal thing. It should be more of a social thing. Buzzword social. We're talking about sociology. Hey, there we are. I think a
You
lot of
said it.
things could benefit. He said it.
I thought you
Line
were about to
word.
say
It's a social.
socialism. I legit thought you were going to
We'll
be
do that later.
socialism, Marxism, communism. No,
Okay. Well, I mean, I could bring down the books, but I don't want to do that right now. We can do that later. Um, but I think having a lot of things just be a social thing rather than providing these religious backgrounds to these legal things. I don't know if that's a good way of doing it, considering the world we live in is so connected to different cultures now. I
I
don't think it works
yeah.
like that.
I will say I do agree with you with that. Where it's like I said, marriage. I definitely treat it more as a government and like a law thing, not as a like you can have a religious ceremony, but
Hmm.
the actual concept of like the fact you all are getting married is a thing that's going into law. Where like I definitely have heard that a lot of gay marriage is not real. I mean,
I've heard that
I
a lot too.
where I, I say like, okay, well, it just happened in the courthouse a couple of weeks ago, so I don't know. I mean, that's my thing. Is like, well, it just happened over there. I mean, like
Well, it's not real,
whether
you say. Well, look at my two gay best friends that I've known for life that got
yeah,
married 2 weeks ago. They're very
I
happy.
mean, whether or not that's holy, whether or not that's they truly love each other, whether I mean, there's a whole lot of like I don't know, but also it doesn't. Why does it involve me? I don't
There's a
care.
lot of ifs, buts, and coconuts, but that's okay.
I mean, they signed a piece of paper in a story. I mean, how dare they? Like,
I
at the
just,
end of the day, I don't care. I'm in my room playing Apex with my friends.
mhm. I mean, I have a steady relationship that's been going on for almost a year and a half. I'm kind of like, we're kind of like poking it with a stick. Like, if this continues for another 5, 10 years, what are we gonna do then? But I mean, as a person, I don't think I would want that to legally bind me in a place where I would have to go through a lengthy and financially devastating thing if something were to happen. I'm not saying that it would or it will, but I just like, as an option, especially for people that I've seen get into weddings and marriages that I don't think are going to work out very well. Like, I
You're
don't.
perfectly capable of loving each other without getting married. Like getting married doesn't mean that you love each other more. Like it's
Exactly.
just something that
It's
you can
just a
do.
thing.
Yeah.
It's a symbol.
And definitely it's my dream to do that, to get married one day. I mean, it's completely understandable why some people just don't. I mean, I understand that. I mean, whatever.
It's fine. Who get like it's just it's down to a
I want to
preference
do
thing. Like,
something. You want to do
I
something.
wouldn't mind it. It's
Everything's
not something that I dream about, but I wouldn't mind it. Like we just have different opinions in that. It doesn't really make a difference.
yeah. I
Like,
mean,
even as a non-religious individual, I think that would probably be one of the biggest milestones in my life, just based on my background and how I was raised and what I want to do with my life. But at the same time, I don't see it as this higher power thing. I don't see marriage as like God is combining our souls together at the hilt. I don't think it's that, and I don't think I would want the religious part within my ceremony to an extent that would be like
like
overwhelming.
an example to set, like, I have an example where, I mean, what is it? Like in Genesis, I was reading, like, I'm trying to actually, like, read through the whole Bible, and in Genesis,
Yeah.
when they describe making Adam and Eve, he describes Adam was lonely, so he made Eve. He gave him a wife. Like, it was just set in stone. Like, it was just there. That is your wife. Like,
Just went,
there was
there you
no,
go.
there was in, but like it wasn't like they had a ceremony. They made sure that like all the birds were chirping and singing, and like, they had a reception. No,
Adam
like,
had it the easiest out of all of us.
yeah, he literally he had the best wingman, but
Bro literally just was like ordained and given a wife out of nowhere that he was gonna fully love and have love come back to him.
it's like, hold
He
on,
didn't have the thing of like, oh, I have to date and
it's,
figure out how we're gonna do this and if she actually likes me or if he actually likes me. He was just like, oh, perfect. Thank you,
Yeah.
God. Anyway.
yeah, it was just simply, that's the thing, is that's why I treat it as like a wife and a husband are two people that truly love each other, and not a piece of paper that says like, yes, yep.
I think let's get into solutions. We got to wrap this first part up really quickly. If we want, we can kind of disband for today and we can record part 2 next week. That's okay. We'll have to
Yeah.
kind of do a little bit of a longer thing.
My phone's
I
gonna
would prefer
die.
that. Yeah, I would prefer
Your phone's
do
gonna
part.
die and Townley's got to leave. So we'll record next week, the next part, or we can do it on Friday really quickly, like sometime between 4 and 7. We'll see. I have band practice, so we'll have to see how that goes.
It'll have to be near
But
the end. Then. It'll have to be near the end of that time because I'm going out Friday.
All right. Well, we'll have to see what we're gonna do. If we're gonna do it Friday, then I guess.
I mean, I can.
Let's just do it for next week then.
Usually
Anyway,
I'm available
solutions.
whenever.
We gotta figure out solutions. That's the final part of this. What can we do to fix the issues that we have presented
We gotta do this kind
here?
of fast.
Allow me to really quickly go through my sources, and we can openly discuss. I just need to put these two out here really quickly. Personally, I think as somebody who's within the field of mental health. I've researched a lot of behavioral health services and how that's affecting people. And a lot of people in Maryland and Georgia have been putting out further benefits and funding for these sources. And I have 2 sources that will be in my references that I'll put up at the end for about 30 seconds. And both of them gave more funding and more like airspace to behavioral health services and mental health services as a whole, and they've developed to a point where they won't really have too many of the issues that we've talked about today last for decades. If we implement these solutions now and getting like the stigma of having a therapist needs to go. I think everybody could and should have a therapist probably. And I think implementing that behavioral health services within classrooms and being more open with this care and gotta throw this one out here. Why don't we make it free? Why don't we make this healthcare free? Why don't we do that? If we can do all that, we realistically won't have these issues for much longer. And I know, Aiden, you have the whole social healthcare system, but we are privatized, huh?
I was just agreeing with you. I was going, yeah.
Yeah, so your difference there, it probably makes a world of difference, at least to some degree, than what we have over here and having to like shave off an arm and a leg for a therapy appointment every other week.
Well, ours is a bit of a nightmare because the service is free and there's not an astronomical amount. You're usually always on a waiting list, and they'll try and probably see you as soon as possible. Like they'll try and see you when you're in there. They'll want it to be done as soon as possible because there's that many people on the waiting list.
So it's an issue of both waiting and quality control.
It's basically just it's a supply and demand issue. Like there's not enough therapists for what it is, because if it's free, people are just gonna like, well, I might just go to therapy. Like even people that don't like per se need it as much, like they'll be like, oh, this therapy's free, I'm just gonna go, and then they'll be put on a waiting list for like ages. Like unless you're an emergency case, you're gonna be on a waiting list for at least like 6 months. Like it's like we are backlogged for stuff like that around here.
Yeah.
I feel like, sorry, Townley, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, I definitely agree with the fact that we need, like, it's a necessity, especially nowadays. Mental health is a big necessity, just in general, therapists, whatnot. But at the same time, I get the best way I can label it is I believe it's a necessary evil per se. I don't think it should. There's a lot of medical practices and like psychiatric practices that should not cost as much as they do. I will say that, but like the fact that you have to, you got cancer, well, better get that Kickstarter set up. See if people can help you out. I don't think it should be that necessary to like, oh, hey, can people of America, can you all donate to me, please?
We shouldn't have to crowdfund being alive. I don't know if that's I don't know if that's a good thing.
But then because of how it costs, it means that, I mean, I don't think I've ever really had a negative medical experience. The only time was just with medical professional I couldn't understand that clear, and that's about it. Everything else, everyone's been kind, has been great. They've helped me with my issues, everything. And me having seizures is a big thing I can commend as well. And of course I have parents that of course help with those costs, but I mean, I can definitely attest for the quality of those interactions.
I've definitely had a few interactions with healthcare professionals that have not been so professional. Especially I had a thing going on with my chest at one point, and I went out to a pulmonologist, and essentially the system that he was running was, I'm going to sell you everything all at once because I own the company that owns the drugs that I'm giving you, so I make it directly off of what you're doing.
Well, that's that's a
horrible
failure to
horrible practice.
I guess you could say failure to background check, I guess, or
not necessarily failure to background
conflict
check.
of interest.
It's just like it. Well, the pulmonologist was the one that owned the company, so it's not like, and he was the first person to see me in like a statewide area, so there wasn't much of another choice. I just had to do that, and seeing these forced issues, I feel like there has to be a better solution than just like, I guess you're gonna have to make more money. Get off your lazy ass and go make money, because I don't think that's true. I think meritocracy is garbage. I don't think it's real. I think it's a ploy from people that are richer to make you chase yourself in endless loops, and they get richer and you get poorer.
I would say definitely in your situation that negatively impacted you because they didn't own the hospital that hired him, correct?
No, he from what I researched, I had went to this pulmonologist 30 minutes away, and I went to UPMC Altoona, and I went in, and he just kind of walked in, talked his talk. He had two other nurses that just like it was really weird. It was like a movie, and I just watched a gangster come out of an alleyway with his two girlies, and he was like, "So what you got, pal?" in a very thick accent that wasn't the one I just did, and I was trying to describe what I was having, and he just kept going and going and going and going and cutting me off, and then he was like, "Here, take this inhaler, do it, do it, do it," and I was like, "I don't have a choice, do I? I have to leave here with this," and I looked it up, and he owns who provides those inhalers.
Yeah,
Profits directly from it.
from that, I'll be honest. So you didn't go to a doctor's office.
I went to a doctor's office. Yes, it is. Oh, you guys don't have UPMC. I forgot. Um, but it's a UPMC is a hospital and a doctor's office, and it's just like this big corporation kind of for healthcare. Um, and it's just kind of.
I'd say that is part of that hospital's fault, just for not checking the conflict of interest that could occur.
I agree,
But
but there's definitely a better solution that could have been. Sorry to cut you off, but like,
no, it's fine.
there's a better solution that could have happened there besides, like, oh, we just don't hire this guy in the first place. I feel like we could have gotten that taken care of back when we formulated how these services would work, rather than now that we're here. And Aiden, I get the idea of like you don't have many people and you have long wait lists, so everybody's kind of getting their own stuff done. But I feel like even to that, I feel like there's a solution for that. There has to be something. There's never just not a solution. And I feel like
I think the solution is just at the minute, like it's one of them ones where you just, like you said before, it's one of them ones where it's something that hasn't been thought about before it's been put into practice.
mm-hmm.
Like it's
So
just kind of been there.
And obviously, we're not the kind of people to be able to come up with these solutions. I'm a BHT. Townley works at a restaurant, and Aiden, you work at. Have you switched yet?
No, I've got my interview on the first.
Okay, so you still work at Tesco, yeah?
Yeah.
Okay, so you work at Tesco. We all come from different sources, but none of us are like licensed professionals to the extent that we can determine what is better for this whole operation. Besides, yeah, exactly. We can't make executive decisions like we're the president of the world. We can't make the assumptions necessary or do the correct calculations socially and financially and everything else.
I will say one thing that I learned when I was very young, like I think it was 5th or 6th grade, was we were learning about economies and just oh, this is a market economy, this is a traditional, this is that. And then the first thing they tell us, okay, all these things we taught you, they don't really exist. They are all mixed. None of them are real. So, and that stuck with me because I'm like, oh yeah, because
it's all not real.
Because when you look at with any government, you're like, oh, this is the solution. Look back at history at anyone trying to look for the solution, and it does not work out. There is no solution. That's the end of the story. There is no solution.
I don't think there's no solution because there has to be a solution.
There's compromises. There's compromises.
Huh?
There's things that can help, but never a solution.
Here's what I would say. I don't think it's impossible. I just think it's highly improbable, which is something that I live my life by. Is like,
okay, fair enough. Improbable.
Technically, it's not. It's not impossible to be done. It's just like a 1 in whatever chance of everybody agreeing that this is a good system. And there's always going to be that one person that's going to be like, no, I want poor people to suffer because I'm rich and don't understand how the world works. There's always going to be that guy. Everybody has that guy.
I will say I do have to go soon.
Okay, that's fine. We're gonna wrap this up here soon because we're like way over time.
Like soon as in like 5 or 10 minutes.
Okay, let's wrap this up then. Just on the note of there has to be some kind of solution, probably, maybe.
No.
But can we make that decision?
No.
No.
No, not at all. So ultimately, our solutions are fund healthcare, I guess. For now, just figure out healthcare and figure out what we can do to help people now. And then when we get the opportunity, when we get to the point where we say we can help everybody now, then we make those decisions. And however much I'd like to say we jump on making that decision now, we can't. We can't do that now.
There's just no way.
Unless, like, aliens come down, they're like, you all are stupid, come with us, which I think is hilarious, because that's how we ended last time, or how I ended my last podcast, is we were just like, what if aliens come down, and they're like, you guys are idiots, come explore the cosmos, and we're like, I guess we're dumb.
Yeah, sure.
Ifs and buts for candies and nuts, fellas.
I feel like it's just as simple as there's no short-term solution, but we need to start figuring out a long-term one now.
I'd say, yeah, solutions no, compromise yes. Like I said, maybe just give it. Like I'm not one for like, oh, just government handouts help people erase debt. I'm not exactly one for that, but at the same time, there are certain, like I said, there are certain things I see. And I see the cost of the raw cost of like no one lying. It's just a receipt. And I'm like, no, that should not cost that much. This should not cost that much. This is dumb. It's stupid.
You should never have to sacrifice financially or emotionally or physically just to experience life. I don't think that's anything that should ever happen.
Yeah.
But that's just not how the world is anymore. Like you need to have money to do anything.
I think I did.
You don't get to be a person unless you've got the money for it.
Like
I think the next step in our development as sorry, Townley, go ahead. I'm gonna finish this with what I was about to say.
Last thing I was gonna say, because like Aiden was talking about, but there was like I think some recent video where a guy who's like a gajillionaire or whatever, he has a lot of money, company, whatever.
Yeah.
He was trying a project, and he stood true to the whole thing, where he was going to start out with $0, and just try and bring himself up, try and become a millionaire within I think like 12 months or something, or a year.
Yeah.
And he admitted he could barely, like, he failed, like he just could not do much at all.
Even in the operation of him saying like I can do this in 20 years. No, you can't. Being able to start from the bottom and work to the top has been a lie that the U.S. and other governments have sold us since birth. And I
wouldn't say you can't get to the top, but it's a very unrealistic approach. I would say that you can. This is a land of opportunity, but you got to know what that opportunity is. You can't expect to always be number one.
It's not impossible, but it's highly improbable.
Exactly. I was about to say that again.
Like there's two problems. There's people who are ignorant and just think, oh yeah, you got no money. You can become a millionaire if you just do the right things. No. But at the same time, people who are like living decently and are okay, they're like, I'll never amount to anything. I'll never have a good life. Like, okay, maybe don't like DoorDash every couple seconds. Maybe cut this, cut that. Like, you have to be very smart and careful about it, but you can become above average or okay instead of in the red.
Like, I've opened up the DoorDash app once in my lifetime, saw that I would have to pay $30 for food. And I was ordering Denny's, to be fair, but paying an extra however much to just get it here,
your opinion doesn't matter.
Immediately. I can't afford to pay for that kind of thing, let alone food getting outside of like just being here. I can't get food out of my house most of the time just because I have car payment. I have college to pay for. Do I still do it sometimes? Yes, because sometimes I do want that little sweet treat coming home from work.
I will say,
but like,
just use that Dash Pass, but you know.
I'm on 5%, gentlemen. We should wrap this up.
We should. All right. So essentially, what I was going to say earlier, I think the next step in our human development as a species is finding a way to not have this system of everybody has to be unequal, or else the entire thing's going to fall apart. I think the next step is finding that, we use an ethics buzz term, golden mean of being able to be like, I don't have to like harm myself to keep myself alive financially, emotionally, physically. Everybody that is born should have some kind of life to live. There shouldn't be like whoopsie daisies, I was born into a poor family, guess I'll die at 5 of measles. That shouldn't happen. People die of preventable disease every single second. And that is a horrible tragedy that we don't accept often. And to solve that, I think, is the next step to being able to branch out of where we're at now and focus on how are we going to get out of this this horrible prison that is Earth for now, at least, before, I don't know, the sun explodes. Because even though that's far off, if we keep going at the pace we are at now, we're never becoming more than what we are down here. Mm-hmm. And from what people have said, we're pretty small.
Well, unfortunately, though, your opinion doesn't matter because you tried to order Denny's. So
you're right. No.
I hate to break it to you.
I know. All right, fellas. That's it's been good. I hope this has been discussion enough that
it's an hour and 21 minutes worth. So.
Oh dear, I'm so sorry, Professor McMahon. I hope this was enjoyable to watch.
Okay, well, we can all say goodbye now because he's gonna love watching all this.
Well, I believe she goes by she/her.
I believe. Sorry.
It's okay. It happens. That's another thing we can talk about next time is gender roles and how that affects how we identify people.
I just heard McMahon. I thought about
next episode. Yeah.
Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Okay. Bye.
I'm going to share my screen. I'm going to do an outro just of my. If you want to put that reference sheet real big. I'm going to talk for a little bit more, like 30 seconds. These are all my resources. Feel free to check them all. There's that one that doesn't actually have a hyperlink, but that's fine. It's been good talking to you guys. Aiden, I'll probably see you here in like 30 minutes unless we do completely separate things. Townley, I hope you have a good rest of your night, whatever you're doing.
I'll probably be back on again tonight if y'all still on.
Okay. I'll be able to be on Xbox a little bit later tonight. So we'll see each other later tonight. It's been good talking. Thank you guys for participating this week. We'll participate again next week if we have the time.
Hopefully not at 11
o'clock. That's that, I think.
All right.
Bye. Cool. Here. Yep.